Hello, hello, hello. Hello, hello. Hello, hello, hello. Sorry to break up all the wonderful conversation, but it's time for us to start our program. My name is Vernon Robbins, longtime friend of Betty Bolander, and along with my wife, Deanna. Where are you, Deanna? There's she back there waving her hand. So, and we're very happy for all who are contributing to this wonderful celebration this afternoon. And we are honored to start off with Reverend Fahed Abu Akhel, who is internationally known, was the moderator of the Presbyterian Church USA in the 214th session in 2002. And Betty loved Fahed, and we may hear some mutuality there when he himself speaks, and Fahed's wife, Mary, who was born on April Fool's Day, just like Betty Bolander was. So that was a very special connection they had. How many today here are April Fool's babies? Are there a number here? We do not have, it appears, a large group here of those. But she was an AFB, and we found in her, an April Fool's baby, and we found in her papers that you don't just automatically become an AFB. You can maybe you're born on April Fool's Day, but you really have to be excited about it. You have to promote it. You have to find other people who were born on April Fool's Day. And so there is a whole Atlanta April Fool's birthday group. And Fahed's wife, Mary, was one of those. Okay, so I want to welcome you to the podium, and he's going to start with some memories of Betty Bolander.
I want to say special thanks to Shallowford Presbyterian Church for hosting us. They have the best parking, the best fellowship hall. And I discovered that all of you come from different part of her life, not only from Central, not only from Shallowford, but a man came to me and said, my name is Tom, and he came all the way from Virginia Beach just to attend here because he knew her all his life. So we come from a variety of a community. As I think about Betty, I think about the power of music and the power of love. So what I like to do is, before I start reflecting for a few minutes, is to read a scripture about love. And that comes from 1 Corinthians chapter 13. If I speak in the tongues of people and of angels, but have not love, I am only a resounding gong or a clanging cymbal. If I have the gift of prophecy and can fathom all mysteries and all knowledge, and if I have faith that can move mountains but have not love, I'm nothing. If I give all I possess to the poor and surrender my body to the flames but have not love, I gain nothing. Love is patient. Love is kind. It does not envy. It does not boast. It is not proud. It is not rude. It is not self-seeking. It is not easily angered. It keeps no record of wrongs. Love does not delight in evil, but rejoice with the truth. It always protects, always trusts, always hopes, always perseveres. Love never fails, but where there are prophecies, they will cease. Where there are tongues, they will be stilled. Where there is knowledge, it will pass away. For we know in part and prophesy in part, but when perfection comes, the imperfect disappears. When I was a child, I talked like a child, I thought like a child, I reasoned like a child. When I became a man or a woman, I put childish ways behind me. Now we see but a poor reflection as in a mirror. Then we shall see face to face. Now I know in part, then I'll know fully, even as I'm fully known. Now these three remains: faith, hope, and love. But the greatest of these is love. As I think about Betty, I want to go in three stages. First, through Central. Ministry with international students that, she arrived to Atlanta in 1977, and we began the work with international students in 1978. Imagine when we started in 1978 in Metro Atlanta, we had 2,500 international students. Today, there are 15,000 international students from 160 nations. So when we started that program, everything I did was done by volunteer. So I will invite myself to Central for a lunch, to Shallowford for supper, every place. These international students pay their way from all over America. And when they arrive, we put them in American homes. Okay, every time when we go to Central, I will go first to the courthouse. Somebody felt in love with what I'm doing. And I said to him, the uniqueness of America is every place in the world, when you go to the courthouse, you are guilty. And you need to prove you are innocent. America is the opposite of the whole universe. You go in innocent, and it's the government need to prove that you are guilty. So the reason I'm saying this, because these international students come from Latin America, Africa, the Middle East, Europe, and Asia. And when that lawyer, Tom Jones, put 12 jurors in there, they become the juror, and his students from Georgia State, they will play a case that happened a year ago. And it's amazing. I mean, that was, when I say evaluation, that court deal was the best thing for the international students. And so we walk from the courthouse in Fulton to Central. And one day they introduced Betty. And Betty, she got to talk with everybody. And she said, I like, to play music. And she started to play, and suddenly everybody started, like a magnet going toward her. And after we ate, she said, I like to teach them to sing. I said, Betty, they are from all over the world. She said, leave me alone. So, the magic of Betty is powerful. If you find a Chinese singing a Christmas song, an African, a Latin American, and Middle Eastern, she had a magic that is powerful. That's to me, Betty. So she, to me, was a blessing with my ministry with international students as we did it in Metro Atlanta. The second part, I discovered that Betty and Mary, they had a club that called April Fool Club. And so they will gather together. So I'll go as a support person. You know, they say, come with your spouse and so forth. So I always went with Mary. And so I celebrated many April 1. So that's the way I got to know her. And then I became the president of Northside Kiwanis Club, and the club was meeting at First Presbyterian Church. And I discovered that the gift of Betty is going to do something for this club, because they always come late, huh? So they will she will come and start to play music. And she like 10-15 ahead of time. And I discovered that this was better. So they will come early, the old timers, you know, so some of them over 100 or something. And then they will come and hear the music. So the music of Betty stabilized my Kiwanis club. We continue attending, and they came for the end of the year. At the end of the week, because our club met on Friday. Now we meet on Thursday. So as I think about Betty, her power of music and power of love, immediately I think about it's a universal experience. Love and music is universal, and that's the power of Betty. And when you read her life, you know, you discover you did not know even 10% of what you knew about Betty. I wish I read this before I met her. It's amazing the richness of her life, the way she touched people everywhere she went. So as we think about Betty, we really need to reflect on our own lives and see how we, the living, can bless our own family, can bless our own friends, our church, our community, and the world we are in. That's to me the power of Betty. There is most of you remember Psalm. And Psalm 23, I want you to hear it in a special way. And that's to me reflects on Betty. She went to Central Presbyterian, but she never joined Central Presbyterian. To me, the power of Betty, she had a deep faith in her, but from the outside, she did not speak a lot, but she really acted her faith out. Imagine, if I want to think about today, I immediately think about, of course, Veterans Day. She was patriotic. She went all over the world and was with our troops. But imagine, in '93, when she discovered that what we are doing in Iraq is wrong, she will be every Sunday after worship in the corner of Central Presbyterian Church having a plaque. Stop the war, stop the war, stop the war. That's to me the power of patriotism. Huh? We are balanced. I love my nation, but when I think it's something wrong, I need to stand. So to me, Betty represents the best of America. So as I think about Psalm, look at this reading. Most of you memorize Psalms. So as you think about that memory, I want you to hear these words, and I call it Betty Bolander prayer. The Lord is my constant companion and friend, who supplies all my needs and provide a bountiful earth with enough for everyone. The Lord teach me to have daily time of stillness and to listen to God's voice in my soul, constantly restoring my wholeness. The Lord guides my conscience, grant me the power of forgiveness and love, and urge me to forgive and love my neighbor as I forgive and love myself. God grace makes this possible. Even though death stands beside me, I'm not afraid, for death is not evil, but it is time of passage into God's new kingdom. As I pass through the transformation of leaving my body, setting my spirit free, you, O God, walk with me every step of the way, holding me when I stumble. You prepare a table with bread and a cup in the presence of my infirmities. You anoint my aching body. You pour love into my lonely soul. I'm overwhelmed with your constant caring in my last days. Goodness and mercy have been your amazing gift to me all my life. I long to be at home with you, and I know you hear the yearning of my heart. Thank you, dear Lord, for all your promises fulfilled. Thank you for answering our prayer. Help us feel your presence as we journey toward your eternal kingdom. Amen.
Thank you very much. Our tenor is still en route. And so we have been assured he will arrive later and we can then hear him. So I want to move to the next stage in our program, the next step, the memories and gratitude by friends and relatives. And I know two of them, one who will present. One is Kathy Fike, and then next will be Mr. Seaburn Jones. But any others of you who wish to come up here and present some memories or gratitude, please come up to the front row and take these chairs, and I'll know how many we have, okay? And as we go along. The first person I want to bring up here for memories has to do with wherever Betty went and whatever she needed, there was an angel who would step forward and help her. My wife and I used to take Betty to the airport when she was becoming visually impaired, and we would say, we want to order you a wheelchair. No, I can get there fine, you know. So we could actually leave her at the door and she'd find her way, and so then we'd come to pick her up. And so how are we going to have Betty? Well, we were waiting for her. Here she would come on the arm of some young man who was not only ready to bring her to where we were waiting, he would have taken her home if she needed it. So these angels have come along, and a number of those angels are in this room, okay? During the last decade of Betty's life, or so, a special angel stepped forward. Her name is Kathy Fike. My life and Deanna's life could not have been without Kathy Fike. She has been so important. So I want to invite her up here, and she will tell her story and help us understand what she contributed to Betty's life during the last years.
Hello, friends. My name is Kathy Fike, and I was a friend of Betty Bolander's. Before I begin, I want to invite everybody to help yourself to all of the bells and coffee cups and photographs and all the memorabilia that's in these last three tables over here. None of it's going home with me, so it needs a home, and I hope it all finds good homes with you. How I knew Betty Bolander. I met Betty in December 2006 at a neighborhood Christmas party where, surprisingly enough, she was not playing the piano. As Betty and I sat on the couch talking, I realized we had a lot in common. We were both single ladies without children who enjoyed travel and independence, meeting new people, and eating at ethnic restaurants. She was 82 years old at the time, but I assumed she was much younger. When she admitted to me that she didn't have a will or a living will, I offered to help her think through her final plans. She very reluctantly agreed. She didn't want to think about dying because she was too busy living. Over the next year and a half, we got together every month or so to hammer out what she wanted to do with her life savings. She very wisely asked longtime friend Vernon Robbins to be her executor with the support of his gracious wife, Deanna. I have since met some of her family members this week, but I feel as though I've known them for 15 years. She loved her family. She was particularly concerned about Brittany, the daughter of one of her nieces, whom she always called Britbird. Sadly, Britbird died last year, which hit Betty very hard. Betty had a soft heart for others. She actively supported more than 150 of her favorite nonprofit organizations and causes. And she felt strongly about many, many, many causes, including civil rights, programs for children, the homeless, Native Americans, women, education, veterans, international organizations, public television and public radio, and various music and theater programs, to name a few. She and several of her friends, as we've already discussed, stood on the street corner every Sunday after church with signs that read, "War is not the answer," and "Bring the troops home." Once Betty and I had pinned down her priorities, a lawyer friend of hers at Central Presbyterian finalized her will and her living will, so our job was finished. Except that we still got together every month or so to eat at ethnic restaurants and watch Jeopardy! As her macular degeneration worsened, I visited her more often. Eventually, I went to her condo once a week to line up her pills for the next week, help her pay bills, write checks to nonprofits, arrange her schedule for the next several weeks, and check her emails, and watch Jeopardy! Our friendship deepened. We talked on a personal level about things that we had rarely expressed to anyone else. Macular degeneration was not kind to Betty, but Betty once said to me that if she had a choice, she would rather lose her eyesight than lose her hearing, since listening to music and playing the piano was so important to her. The good news is that Betty had such a large repertoire of songs in her amazing memory that even when she moved into assisted living at Claremont Place in April of 2020, she could still play songs by heart on her piano. And she did play songs by heart. Music was woven into the fabric of Betty's life. I regret that I never knew Betty when she was a young woman. I became her financial power of attorney at the beginning of the pandemic. By that time, she was almost blind, and to make matters worse, I was not allowed to visit her because of COVID restrictions. In recent months, I have sorted through hundreds of photographs from her childhood and throughout her life. Her cards and letters, collections of bells and coffee cups and plaques and awards, and the stories from her family and friends all give me clues to this incredible woman. I am honored to have called Betty Bolander my friend. Thank you.
We keep hearing about Betty Bolander's piano playing and sing-along, and we know that the star-studded part of her career of sing-along was at the Churchill Arms British pub. There are a number of people who went to sing-along. Raise your hand who are here who did that. And an amazing number of couples actually met there. And like one woman told me, she said, I went one night to the British pub and I was singing away Church Alarms, and there was this guy behind me who couldn't carry a tune. He was singing off. I've been married to him 37 years, and there he is. Well, we are fortunate that Seaburn Jones, who was a major leader in all of that, has been willing to agree to come here and speak to you about Betty. Welcome, Seaburn.
Thank you, Vernon, for all you and Deanna and Kathy and anybody else who was a participant in this did to put all this together today. Now, as you've heard, I'm here to talk about the church alarms. I see familiar faces out there from the days at the pub. Ever since I was a kid at summer camp, I've loved sing-alongs. And when I heard there was a new sing-along pianist at the church alarms, I quickly went there to see what she was like. And I walked in, and Betty was playing away, and there were maybe 2 or 3 people singing with her. That didn't last long. When I was there, I asked her if she knew the road to Mandalay, which is a test question because most pianists don't know it. She said, sure I do, and began to play it, and played it perfectly with all its ruffles and flourishes. And I knew right then and there that I was hooked, and for the next 20 years, I went to the pub to sing as Betty played. She would get there at 9 or 9:30 and play till 1:30 or 2 in the morning, which was amazing, particularly later after she got arthritis in her hands. She didn't want to take a break, but she would take a brief break. She felt if she were away from the piano too long, she would lose singers and they would go home. So she kept at it. She was an excellent pianist, but her real passion, her love, was to play the piano so other people would sing with her. She had a huge repertoire. I've seen in some of the things, the obituary, and that she knew maybe 200 or 300 songs from memory. Those pub people huddled back here a second ago, we think it was closer to 2,000 or 3,000. It certainly wasn't 200 or 300. It was amazing how many songs she had from memory. That meant that when somebody requested a song, she didn't have to, as so many sing-along pianists do, fumble around looking for the songbook in which that song could be found. And as she drew more and more regulars to sing with her, those regulars knew the words too, so they didn't need song sheets. And as a consequence, what you had was a flow of music that was barely interrupted from one song to the next. Now, Betty would often pick the song that would come next, but she would accept and gladly play requests. And as long as it fit into the scheme of things, her scheme of things, she would play it. For instance, if she were on a run of Irish and Scottish tunes, she would not accept a request for Zippity Doo-Dah or something similar. Now, another great talent she had was that she could change keys at the drop of a whatever. She'd listen to the group singing, and if we were stumbling around because it was too high for her, she'd just drop it down a key and could do it with no trouble at all. I don't think that's a very easy thing to do. It did not take long, really, before she built up a great cadre of regulars, as we called ourselves. And it was as diverse a group as you can imagine. People from all walks of life, people in their 30s, 50s, 80s, just a wonderful, eclectic crowd of people. And we really were regular. We would not miss a night with Betty singing. The joke was that to have an excused absence, you had to be out of town or have a note from your doctor. The expats in town loved Betty. The Brits, people from the Commonwealth, the Canadians, the Australians, et cetera, and so forth, and people from other countries as well. I remember one night, a Czech wandered in, and he was amazed that Betty knew Czech songs. And he became a regular. He started coming every night. She was a no-nonsense person, as has been alluded to, and one of her least favorite songs was New York, New York. However, she would dutifully play it early on in the evening so as to get it over with. And invariably, somebody would come in later and ask for New York, New York. And Betty would ignore that person for a while. But if he was really insistent, she would turn to him and say, I've already played that. I'm not going to play it again. Come earlier next time if you want to hear it. She was not a fan of bawdy songs. She wouldn't play suggestive stuff. So when we ask her for The Sexual Life of the Camel, or if you'll pardon me, an old British wartime World War II song, Hitler has only got one testicle, she would not play those things. About her limit was the last verse of Goodnight Irene, which I'm sure you'll all remember went, sometimes she wears pajamas, sometimes she wears a nightgown, but when they're both in the laundry, Irene's the talk of the town. You've already heard that there was a good bit of romance generated around Betty's piano. The Muroffs back there and others got married when they met there at the Churchill Arms. They had all sorts of interesting visitors. The cast of A Prairie Home Companion dropped in one night. Atlanta Symphony musicians would come. Some would bring their instruments and they'd play along with Betty. Jeff Blauser, a former Brave shortstop, was there on occasion. Just all sorts of people. Mayor Andrew Young, as you may have seen over there, issued a proclamation on her 10th anniversary of playing at the pub and named that Betty Bolander Day. But sadly, all good times and things must come to an end. And the owner of the pub, a fellow named Arthur Mitchell, is that right? An Englishman, sold out to a bunch of young guys from Gwinnett County. What can I say? Forgive me, Gwinnetians who may be in the house. And they were interested in changing the pub to a place for younger folks to gather. And Betty and the rest of us old folks stood that for as long as we could. And then we all left with Betty. She quit. But she didn't quit. You know Betty. There's no quit in her. She continued to play all over town, as she had when she was still playing at the pub, for parties and club groups. And I bet she averaged one a week. I became her chauffeur in part and took her to some of those places when she couldn't drive. To finish up, because Vernon tells me I must, and he's giving me that look. I don't consider myself a connoisseur of much of anything except maybe sing-along pianists and the places that they played. And before I met Betty and after I met Betty, whenever I was out of town, I would look for such places. And I found good ones in Chicago and New York and Washington and Boston and New Orleans. But I can tell you without hesitation that the best was Betty. There's no doubt, without any bias of playing a role in that, I can tell you she was the best that there was. And I can say without hesitation that in 50 years in Atlanta, the aspect of the city that gave me the most joy was Betty at the pub.
It wasn't long after Deanna and I met Betty that we started to hear about the Bertrand family. The Bertrands. Oh, Texas A&M was somehow involved. Berry College was somehow involved. We couldn't figure it all out, and I don't know, still, I can't figure it all out. But we have a person here who can, Tom Bertrand, and he has a few things to say about Betty Bolander. Please, Tom.
First, I'd like to do what Seaburn also did. I'd like to thank Vernon and Deanna for reassembling Betty's Village for this special occasion. And to say that The Vernon's scriptural meditation at Central Presbyterian this morning at her funeral was a tender masterpiece. He chose Mark's account of how blind Bartimaeus had his sight restored. Any new compilation of stories about unique 21st century characters, beloved of the Lord, should contain Vernon's story about the aspiring personality and character of our Betty. Betty Bolander knew my parents and my sister and me from the early 1950s, 70 years ago, when my father was the dean who hired Betty as director of student activities at the union. It was a college then, at what is now Texas A&M University, at the university's Memorial Student Center. On this Veterans Day, it's notable that Betty's first full-time job as a director of entertainment was on a campus where every student was a young man dressed in a uniform every day. She loved it. She loved veterans, and she hated war. Betty was then in her early 20s. She stayed closely in touch with my family over the past 70 years, sometimes following my parents and later me to the campuses where we were serving. University of Nevada in Reno, Berry College in North Georgia, Emory University, or Brevard College in the mountains of North Carolina, where she and I furnished a sweet little rental cottage for her near the Brevard Music Center campus. Ours, of course, was just one of the families that Betty adopted. A number of you represent the same thing. My three sisters, Diana, Karen, and Jamae, and Maggie, the musically gifted daughter that Emory's Lynn Bertrand and I share, all grew up admiring Betty for her talent, her spirit, her personality, and her passion. I've gotten to know her nephew, Jim Bolander, in Virginia Beach, where we both live now. This is to Betty, the indomitable Betty, worthy of a story in the New Testament. We Bertrands have loved you our whole lives.
Is there anyone else who would like to come to? Okay, please come tell who you are. Yeah.
I'm Sarah Mayer. I had actually sent you, I sent you a copy of my statement, Vernon, because I didn't think I was, that helps. I didn't think I'd be able to be here, but I'm glad I am. And the reason why I'm holding my phone like this is my son, who's very, very close to Betty, is in China right now. So he's actually here on my phone. And do you see everyone, Casey? And it's actually 4 o'clock in the morning over there right now. So he hasn't heard this either, so I hope he enjoys it too. I'm gonna move that down a little bit. When I married into my husband's family, Betty was already a good friend to his grandmother, Becky. I don't know when they became friends. It had to be shortly after Betty arrived in Atlanta in 1977. They were both members of the National Bell Association. Becky was actually a past president of the Bell Association. They both served in the USO and were very proud of their participation and service they gave to our soldiers. I do know they did a lot of activities together. After having a mini stroke or TIA, Becky moved in with us. We began to see Betty more often. I'd say she visited around once a week. My son Christopher saw Betty more often than his actual grandmother, Becky's daughter. Becky's daughter suffered a chronic mental illness, and the quality of Betty's visits meant more to him than his actual grandmother's. After Becky died in our home from a stroke, Betty continued her frequent visits for a while. She came over often in the summers to swim in our pool. She also could be counted on to visit and bring a card on Christopher's birthday every year. I think she did so through his high school years. On special occasions, such as graduations and holidays, we could always count on Betty to be there for Christopher. She became the doting grandmother he didn't have. She was the only grandparent figure in his life, being both my parents were deceased, and there only being Becky's daughter on my husband's side. Mine knew Becky's daughter at times tried to be mindful of Christopher, but just couldn't be there for him. By the time I had my son Casey, who's on the phone now, 8 years later, Betty had moved from her apartment on Lindbergh to her condo in North Druid Hills. Betty's eyes were progressively getting worse, and she no longer was driving. She really enjoyed going to Avis Williams Library and viewing the newspaper on microfilm because she could enlarge the print. Though he did not see her as often as Christopher, Casey really enjoyed spending time with Betty. Like Christopher, and even more so, Betty was the only grandparent figure he had. As she became older and her eyesight got worse, we saw less of her. Every once in a while, she'd ask me to do an errand for her. I don't think most people realize the impact grandparents have. Both my boys envied the relationships their friends had with their grandparents. It was nice to have Betty attend the special milestones in my boys' lives. I'm sure Betty didn't realize the impact she had on my boys, especially Casey. He loved her worldliness, her adventures, her sharp intellect, and her genuine interest in the things he was doing. He really connected with her. The last event Betty was able to attend was his Eagle Scout ceremony. I felt terrible because of a misunderstanding of when and where I was to pick her up for the ceremony. Before and after the ceremony, Casey kept asking where Betty was. I was worried because I couldn't find her. She eventually made it on her own by asking someone at her assisted living to give her a ride. Casey was so relieved. Casey made it a point to visit Betty before he went to China right before the pandemic. He was grateful he did, but really wished he could have spent more time with her. He told me that there was so much he wanted to learn about her. Until his last visit with her, I didn't even realize how important Betty was to him. He shared with her an interest in understanding people across the world, teaching and service to others. Casey would be here today to celebrate her life, but he's still in China. I like to think Betty would approve. Casey did get to visit her one last time via phone and the use of WeChat. For him, Betty is a person to aspire to, and for that, I am grateful to her too. She will be missed. Thank you for letting me share that.
Okay, sure. Please, yes, yeah. Jim Bolander, one of the many nephews among the nieces also, is here, and he's going to say a few words.
Very. All right, you can put the hook on me if I'm out of line. It's been really great hearing from everybody the remembrances of Betty, and it's really heartwarming. What I thought might be interesting is to hear a little bit of maybe the rest of the story. There's always the family side of the story that might be a little bit different. So I thought just a couple of things to maybe give you a little bit of a glimpse into family life with Betty. So as part of the Bolander family with its 97-year history with Betty, remember some of the things that she was famous for in our family with the visits, such as requiring the very first task of every visit was to find the post office and the times that the mail was delivered or picked up. When was the last pickup? That was, had to get that out of the way. You couldn't get on with anything else. Routinely questioning and exploring the sanity of anyone who got up early, as in before 9. And wondering what it was that made you feel like you should have to eat dinner. Regularly accusing whoever the dishwasher was of using too much soap while not doing any dishes herself. Chastising grandchildren for not eating the stems of our strawberries and for using too much powdered sugar. Way over the top. For gifting some with a wrapped can of Boston baked beans for Christmas one year. That's just a little glimpse. But there was also the softer side. She taught all the children hands, shoulders, knees, and toes, and we all sang it together, and the kids loved it, and the parents all loved it. It was really sweet. Playing the piano every visit, and we actually tried to sing along. I was never reprimanded for singing out of tune, but I know I was, and I've heard others were put down very quickly for that, but she let me continue. And she taught the Johnny Appleseed song, which we continue to sing as part of our prayer at Thanksgiving. The last thing is that Thanksgiving was never complete without some cookies from the Pepperidge, gifted by Betty, Pepperidge Farm day-old cookies. And every Thanksgiving. And of course they had to be opened first. She was significant, unique, an amazing part of our family, and we have a lot of memories and a lot of things to laugh about as a family. And thank you for your time.
Anyone else? That's it. Okay. Well, is there one more? Okay. All right. Come on, Peggy. I know you from Central, yes? Come, Peggy. Come, Peggy. You're not sitting here, okay? Come on, please. Come. Come. No. You have to come in here.
I'm Peggy Hendricks from Central.
I'm Bobby Paul, one of the street corner ladies after church. I'm Ellen Logan, another one of the street corner.
Well, I'm kind of, excuse me. This will tie in a little bit with what Vernon said about the airport experience. As Betty couldn't drive anymore, then she had to figure out people who might be doing things that she liked to do, and she could ride with them. So a couple of years ago, she called me to say, oh, the Emery Schwartz Center's having their annual free concert on Saturday night, and wouldn't you like to go? And I said, well, I would, except I'm on the Presbyterian Peacemaking Partnership, and this was the time of year to have a visiting international peacemaker, and your church has been very generous in letting us have a Saturday evening where we brought in food and could eat supper in the youth suite and then set up. We usually had about 15 or 20 people, and so then we got to sit and be with the peacemaker. So I told her, well, I can't do that because I'm involved with the International Peacemaker. And she said, oh, well, I know what we'll do is I'll get my friends to drop me off there to hear the peacemaker and have dinner. And then could I take her over to the Schwartz Center and drop her off? And I said, well, I guess that would work out. So we did that. What I had not considered, I guess it must have been about this time of year, because all of a sudden, as I was driving along Clifton Road and realizing that it sure is dark out here, and I pulled up, there wasn't any place to park. I just pulled up on the road, and before I knew it, she was getting out and heading toward the door. And I had turned the flashers on, and I thought, you know, I'm just not used to, this road is usually wild, just walking away from my car. But I caught up with her, and meanwhile, the friends inside had asked the ushers to be on the lookout for Betty. So before I got to her, this usher walked up to her, offered his arm, and they go in arm in arm. So, you know, one of the many ingenious ways she could do things. But she was a wonderful friend. I will say one other time, because you usually, you know, you knew when a birthday was coming because it seemed to be the same time every year. And one of my other friends at church said, well, maybe you and I could take Betty out to lunch. And I said, yeah. And then somebody else said to me, have you made any plans about Betty? And after a couple of just comments like that, we thought, we'll all take her out. And we decided it was going to be dinner. And how many knew Le Giverny French restaurant set up as across on, it's on Clifton across from the CDC. It was wonderful, wonderful French restaurant. Claremont, wrong one. Yeah, sorry. And anyway, I think there's some, Le Giverny. Yeah. Anyway, so there were 8 of us, and we went to supper, and they had a big round table toward the back that fit us all, and we just all had a lot to talk about. And Betty did, and, you know, the evening just went on, and we had, finally I began noticing, they are taking down everything and setting up for lunch tomorrow. And so finally, you know, we asked for the check, and the maitre d' came in with the check, and we were all just looking at what we had. And I looked at it and I said, you didn't charge us for the wine. And he said, oh, actually, he pointed to what was then a blank wall. There was a man sitting there and a table for one. And he watched you guys. He probably didn't say you guys, but he watched you and said, those ladies are having such a good time. I would like to pay for their wine. Anyway, that's good. Okay, thank you.
All right, okay.
Hi, I just wanted to say that Peggy and Ellen and Betty were the mainstays of the Peace Ladies after church on Sunday. In fact, there's a picture out there of them that hung on a banner outside the church for about a year, and they are the ones that faithfully would get others to come and do that. And she was dauntless. She wanted to carry her own sign, and even one day, this is how courageous Betty was. She and Ellen and Peggy and I and Pat Walsh were standing on the street corner, and there was a collision in the middle of MLK and Washington Street. Cars going 45 and 35 miles an hour. They spun in a circle and shot, the little brown Datsun shot straight for us. It was Peggy, and then, right. Peggy was the least in the line of fire, but close. And then Ellen and Betty, and then me. And it happened so fast, it was right for us. And I went like this, my sign went up, we got cut, and I looked, and Betty and Ellen went right on their tushes, right on the ground. They just fell back on the ground. Had that car hit us, we would have been in the fence and gone. But at the last minute, it turned and totaled Dave Vandermeer's Jeep that was parked on MLK. And so, obviously, Betty still had work to do. And I salute you, Betty. Thank you.
Thank you. Her favorite sign was Patriots for Peace.
And it was the way she thought.
Yeah, Patriots for Peace. That's
That was
right.
her sign.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. So is that it? Is that those all who have this? Well, you heard Seaburn Jones refer to the fact that Betty could change keys. Well, Central Presbyterian Church regularly has had a talent show. And one night, she started in and she said, okay, what I'm going to have you do is sing this song in every key in an octave. So she started out at C, and we sang it, and we did C sharp, and then we did the D major, and we worked all the way up the scale. Magic? Yes. And another person on the program at Central, Matt Baum, standing back there. Star of stage in Atlanta, and we know that Betty was magic, and we know she was also always juggling a lot of things. And here is Matt to help us with that.
Ladies and gentlemen, introducing the one, the only, the amazing, fantastical Mad Bomb! You shouldn't have, really. All right. How you like me now? It's too much. Oh. very much. So I'd like to tap into a little bit of Betty's marvelous energy and do a bit of magic. So I need a victim. Volunteer. I need a volunteer. Some adventurous ones. You're being voluntold. I can't quite. How about you? Marcia? Come on down. I've never seen her before in my life. Everybody say, hi, Marcia. Hi, Marcia. So here, would you stand over here, please? Here I have an invisible deck of cards. Would you take that, please? And take them out of the box, if you would. Hand me the box, please. I'll put that safely in my pocket. Now, Marcia, pick your favorite card from the deck. Oh, but don't show me. I don't want to see. I don't want to see. And may I have the rest of the deck, please? Thank you. Show them your card, your invisible card. Ah, yes, that one. Don't say it. Don't spoil the magic. Got it, everyone? Okay. I'm going to take the rest of the deck and flip it so they're all face up. Well, just trust me, they are, right? Now, Marcia, place your card face down in the deck. There we go, reversed. And if you would give these a shuffle, please. Oh, wow, that's elaborate. You've been in the casinos. And place the cards back into the box. Thank you. Now for a bit of magic. Oh. It's now visible. Thank you. Thank you. Marcia, what card did you choose? Was it the Ace of Spades? Yes. Okay, I can confirm. So the Ace of Spades should be the only card reversed in the deck, and it is. Thank you very much. Thank you. You thought you were people of faith, but I'll give you a sign. I'll give you a little proof. The Ace of Spades should be the only reversed card. Let's see here. Oh dear. It might not work out. You know, sometimes the trick doesn't always work. And it's not, oh. Would you have a peek? Yeah, show 'em. The Ace of Spades. Give it up for Marcia Hunter. Fabulous. Now I need another partner in crime. Someone with mental prowess. Someone, that splits the room, doesn't it? Someone who by the end of this routine will be able to read each other's thoughts. That's how strong our mental connection will be. A volunteer, please. All you have to do is raise your hand. How about you? Would you help me out? Yeah, the one who's voluntelling, not, yeah, Come on down. What's your name? Taylor. She's not too happy with you guys. Taylor, would you stand over there, please? We're going to be able to finish each other's sandwiches. Exactly. Taylor, toss me ball number 1. Ball number 1. And if you hold it high, please, don't worry, you're going to hang it up high. Just warm up with ball number 1. Some crossovers. And a whole thing. Comes in, first one back. Whoop! And the crowd goes wild. Wow, it's amazing. Thanks, Taylor. Would you toss me ball number 2? Number 2. You'll get the hang of it, I promise. 2 balls in one hand. Friends, the secret of juggling is that you wind them up like this. This creates static electricity, and, Taylor, oh, yes. I'll get it. No, please, stay there. You're doing important work there. You wind them up like this. I didn't wind it up enough. And this generates static electricity, so they do this by pure magnetic force. Watch that ball on top. It's a very strong magnet. You see? It's just, oh, thank you. Thank you. Just a couple tricks. Oh, he's good. Okay. Taylor, would you pick up ball number 4, please? Number 4, see? Reading each other's minds. And place it on my foot, please. I'll juggle these 3, and then kick ball number 4 up into the pattern. Yeah. Perfect. And then I'll be juggling all 4 once I kick it up into the pattern. I like the hair flip. That's good. Oh! Yeah, perfect. Perfect. All right, 4 balls. Here we go. Oh, Taylor. I'm sorry, there we go. Ready? 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, up! Taylor, we've done it! They're impressed! Listen to them roar! Just a moment, Taylor, your moment is coming. 4 balls. Taylor. Yes. Would you pick up ball number 5? Yes! No hesitation! She was like, this one! All right. And you hold on to the hat. I will juggle all 5 balls and launch ball number 5 high in the air. Taylor will catch it in the hat. At which point you all will jump to your feet and go absolutely bananas. Let's practice. I'm juggling 5 balls. It's amazing! Ball number 5 is launched high in the air. Yes! Phenomenal! And that was only the rehearsal. I can't wait to see the building. Now, Taylor, remember this. Ball number 5. The orange one. Taylor, you're following ball number 5? It's that one. It's that. You got it. You're locked in. Ready? And when she catches in the hat, jump to your feet and go absolutely bananas. Here we go. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Yes! Taylor! Woo! Boom! Shakalaka! Take it down! Wonderfully done! Taylor, everyone! Thank you very much. If you like the show, I'm Matt the Magician, and if not, my name's Steve and I play the banjo. Thank you. Oh, thank you. Oh, hey, that's mine. That's what...
Ladies and gentlemen, the time is here. Okay, she's got music. And she's got music. Pack up all your care and woe. Here I go singing low. Bye, blackbird. Where somebody waits for me, sugar sweet, so is she. Bye, blackbird. No one here can love and understand me. Oh, what hard luck stories they all hand me. Make my bed and light the light. I'll arrive late tonight. Blackbird, bye-bye. Bark up all your cares and woe. Here I go, singing low. Bye-bye, blackbird. Where somebody waits for me, sugar sweet, so is she. Bye-bye, blackbird. No one here can love and understand me. Oh, what hard luck stories they all had me. Make my bed and light the light. I'll arrive late tonight. Blackbird, bye-bye, bye-bye. Okay, all right. How about Shine On Harvest Moon? We know that one, don't we? Page 23. Shine on, harvest moon, up in the sky. I ain't had no loving since January, February, June, and July. Snow time, ain't no time to stay. Outdoors is full, so shine on, harvest moon, for me and my cow. Shine on, harvest moon, up in the sky. I ain't had no loving since January, February, June, and July. Snow time, ain't no time to stay. Outdoors is full, so shine on, harvest moon, for me and my girl. Okay. How about I'll be seeing you in all the old familiar places that my heart and mind embraces all day through. I'll be seeing you in all the old familiar places that my heart and mind embraces all day through. In that small cafe, the park across the way, the children's carousel, the chestnut trees, the wishing well. I'll be seeing you in every lovely summer's day, in everything that's light and gay. I'll always think of you that way. I'll find you in the morning sun, and when the night is new, I'll be looking at the moon, and I'll be seeing you. And we know there's a tavern in the town, right? So, page 6, there's a tavern in the town, There my true love sits him down and has a talk with him. That's not exactly what it says, but it is what it says. There is a tavern in the town, and there my dear love sits him down and drinks his wine in the laughter free, and never thinks of me. Fare thee well, for I must leave thee. Do not let my parting grieve thee, and remember that the best of friends must part. Adieu, kind friends, adieu. I can no longer stay with thee. Hang my heart on a weeping willow tree, and may the world go well with thee. There's a tavern in the town, And there my true love sits him down and drinks his wine, midst the laughter free, and never thinks of me, Fare thee well, for I must leave thee. Do not let the parting grieve thee, and remember that the best of friends must part. Adieu, adieu, kind friends, adieu, adieu, adieu. I can no longer stay with you. I'll hang my harp on a weeping willow tree, and may the world go well with thee. Now, when it's springtime in the Rockies, I'll be coming back to you, page 13. More. When it's springtime in the Rockies, I am coming back to you, little sweetheart of the mountains, with your bonny eyes of blue. Once again I'll say I love you, while the birds sing all the day. When it's springtime in the Rockies far away. Now we're warmed up, let's really sing it. When it's springtime in the Rockies, I am coming back to you, little sweetheart of the mountains, with your bonny eyes aglow. Once again I'll say I love you, while the birds sing all the day. When it's springtime in the Rockies far away. And now the little whiff and poof song. See if we can do this. You know this little song? We're poor little lambs who have gone astray. What? Oh, okay, wait. We have a volunteer for something. What? Pardon?
A few of us know the first verse. This is the chorus here.
Yeah, that's right. I left that. Okay, you want to hear? You want to play the first verse? Let's see. All we have here, I think, is this part.
We'll do a cappella.
Okay. Want to give him a key? Lost our way. We're little black sheep who have gone astray. Gentle songsters off on a spree, doomed from here to eternity. Lord, have mercy on such as we. To the pub group, hey, thanks for taking us back 30 years or so. Okay. Well, as you may know, Betty absolutely loved Christmas sing-alongs. And as you heard, she'd have bells And we heard this morning, if you weren't ringing the bells right, you've been given bells, you weren't ringing them right, she may come and take them away from you and say, you're not ringing them right. Okay? And so we're not going to do jingle bells. We didn't put that on there. But she loved, "O come, all ye faithful." And we thought that could be a good way for us to sing a Christmas song before we end with America the Beautiful. So, "O come, all ye faithful." O come, all ye faithful, joyful and triumphant. O come ye to Bethlehem. Come and behold him, born a King of angels. O Lamb, let us adore him. Oh, come, let us adore him. Oh, come, let us adore him, Christ the Lord. Yea, Lord, we greet thee on this happy morning. Jesus, to thee be glory give. Word of the Father, now in flesh appearing. Oh, come, let us adore him. Oh, come, let us adore him. Oh, come, let us adore him, Christ the Lord. Sing, choirs of angels, sing in exaltation. Sing, all ye citizens of heaven above. Glory to God, oh, glory in the highest. Oh, come, let us adore him. Oh, come, let us adore him. Oh, come, let us adore him, Christ the Lord. And we've heard what an amazing patriot Betty was, a patriot for peace. And among the patriotic songs she loved to play, and there were a number of them, she loved to play America the Beautiful. And so we're going to end our sing-along with America the Beautiful. Oh, beautiful for spacious skies, for amber waves of grain, for purple mountain majesties above the floated plain. America, America, God shed his grace on thee, and crown thy good with broad servanthood from sea to shining sea. Oh, beautiful for pilgrim feet who stood in passionate stress, a thoroughfare for freedom beat across the wilderness. America, America, God mend thine every flaw. Confirm thy soul in self-control, thy liberty in law. Oh, beautiful for heroes proved in liberating strife, who more than self their country loved, and mercy more than life. for patriot dream that sees beyond the years. Thine alabaster cities gleam, undimmed by human tears. America, America, God shed his grace on thee, and crown thy good with servanthood from sea to shining sea. All right. Two of Betty Bolander's absolutely favorite and dearly loved people were Lee Campbell Taylor and her husband, Clark Taylor. And to complete this program today, on Veterans Day, where we think of Betty's life, her campaigning for peace, what a more fitting way to end than to have Lee Campbell Taylor, Reverend Lee Campbell Taylor, well known on stage, to come and recite for us Amanda Gorman's amazing poem, The Hill We Climb, as you know, the poem that was read at the inauguration of President Joe Biden. Lee, please.
As has been said, Betty was a patriot, and her patriotism was grounded not in any sort of idolatry, but in the loving confidence that what is good can be made better, and that we are called to participate in that. And one of the ways that she participated was to vote. We know that she voted in the 2020 election. We don't know whether she was able to listen to the inauguration or not, but I do not doubt that if she had, she would have loved this poem. The Hill We Climb by Amanda Gorman. When day comes, we ask ourselves, where can we find light in this never-ending shade? The loss we carry, a sea we must wade. We've braved the belly of the beast. We've learned that quiet isn't always peace. And the norms and notions of what just isn't always justice. And yet the dawn is ours before we knew it. Somehow we do it. Somehow we've weathered and witnessed a nation that isn't broken, but simply unfinished. We, the successors of a country and a time where a skinny black girl descended from slaves and raised by a single mother can dream of becoming president, only to find herself reciting for one. And yes, we are far from polished, far from pristine, but that doesn't mean we are striving to form a union that is perfect. We are striving to forge our union with purpose, to compose a country committed to all cultures, colors, characters, and conditions of humanity. And so we lift our gazes not to what stands between us, but to what stands before us. We close the divide because we know to put our future first, we must first put our differences aside. We lay down our arms so we can reach out our arms to one another. We seek harm to none and harmony for all. Let the globe, if nothing else, say this is true, that even as we grieved, we grew, that even as we hurt, we hoped, that even as we tired, we tried, that we'll forever be tied together, victorious, not because we will never again know defeat, but because we will never again sow division. Scripture tells us to envision that everyone shall sit under their own vine and fig tree, and no one shall make them afraid. If we're to live up to our own time, then victory won't lie in the blade, but in all the bridges we've made. That is the promise to glade the hill we climb, if only we dare. It's because being American is more than a pride we inherit. It's the past we step into and how we repair it. We've seen a force that would shatter our nation rather than share it, would destroy our country if it meant delaying democracy. This effort very nearly succeeded. But while democracy can be periodically delayed, it can never be permanently defeated. In this truth, in this faith, we trust. For while we have our eyes on the future, history has its eyes on us. This is the era of just redemption. We feared it at its inception. We did not feel prepared to be the heirs of such a terrifying hour, but within it, we found the power to author a new chapter, to offer hope and laughter to ourselves. So while once we asked, how could we possibly prevail over catastrophe? Now we assert, how could catastrophe possibly prevail over us? We will not march back to what was, but move to what shall be. A country that is bruised but whole, benevolent but bold, fierce and free. We will not be turned around or interrupted by intimidation, because we know our inaction and inertia will be the inheritance of the next generation. Our blunders become their burdens. But one thing is certain. If we merge mercy with might and might with right, then love becomes our legacy and change, our children's birthright. So let us leave behind a country better than the one we were left. With every breath from my bronze-pounded chest, we will raise this wounded world into a wondrous one. We will rise from the golden hills of the West. We will rise from the wind-swept Northeast where our forefathers first realized revolution. We will rise from the lake-rimmed cities of the Midwestern states. We will rise from the sun-baked South. We will rebuild, reconcile, and recover. In every known nook of our nation, in every corner called our country, our people, diverse and beautiful, will emerge battered and beautiful. When day comes, we step out of the shade, aflame and unafraid. The new dawn blooms as we free it, for there is always light. If only we're brave enough to see it. If only we're brave enough to be it.
I only have two closing remarks. The first one is, thank you for coming here. Thank you for contributing to this event. The second is, please, as you leave, take some sandwiches and some cookies. Thank you very much.